Hello and welcome to FPL Mate, your best mate for fantasy Premier League content for the 2020-21 season. My name is Dan, and welcome if you're joining me live for a slightly earlier than usual reaction stream. And if you're watching this not live, welcome as well. Hope you do enjoy the stream/video, depending on how you're watching it. I thought we'd do a stream slightly earlier than usual before the Monday Night Football, just because this Monday night game, Burnley against Fulham, from what I've read on Twitter, not too many of us are interested in that game. Not too many of us have too many players playing in that game. So is it a not so important game? I don't know. In terms of FPL, probably. In terms of the relegation scrap, actually, quite an interesting game. But thank you guys for joining me slightly earlier than usual. I hope that's okay. I hope it is. I did want to kind of have a catch up with you guys. I guess you would kind of call this the midway point in the game week, probably for most people, to catch up on how everyone's getting on so far. I'm doing okay. So obviously I started this game week on after my absolute nightmare game week 34, game week 35. Things are looking a little bit better for me. 71 points so far. I've gone from 140k up to 113k as things stand. I think it should only go up because I have more than average amount of players to play left. I mean, we've got still 8 players with their second of their doubles to play. And then a further 3 who have potentially an additional 2 fixtures. Obviously, those Manchester United guys. So still plenty of players to play for me. So I'm pretty happy in that respect. Dan Cross says he's got Chris Wood to play. So, okay, maybe some people are interested in tonight's game. Maybe they are. But yeah, as for me, I'm all in on the double fixtures. So, yeah, we're all in there. So, yeah, I'll just say a quick hello to the people who are here. Sophie Watts, how you doing? Off course here. Ethan Fernandez, Dan Cross is here. As I said, Timothy is here. Ethan Fernandez, Craig Gamble as well. We've got Ian Spry. We've got a few people. Kia is here. So, what's up? What's up? So, all of you. Sky's here as well. So, yeah. This is the halfway point in the game week. I think things are going quite well so far. I did put on Twitter, even before the Manchester United game had started, that I was already regretting captaining Rashford, and I wish I'd gone for Greenwood, which is true. I do wish I went for Greenwood. I was kind of thinking that after the deadline had passed, I was kind of thinking, what have I done? What have I done? Maybe a mistake on that part, but you know, it's not the end of the world. I mean, Rashford did get an assist, and for what it's worth, I know it's not worth anything in FPL points. I thought Rashford looked pretty good when he was playing. He got he gets an injury every game, doesn't he? By the looks of things, but actually he looks okay. But we march on. I'm really hoping though, guys. The plan is to get a nice big score for this game week, and say for argument's sake we're at the halfway point. I could be looking at 140 points this game week, which would be really, really nice. I don't know if that will actually happen. But certainly there's potential to get up towards, 110, 120, maybe a little bit further if we're fortunate. But yeah, things are looking pretty good so far, but I need it. And let me tell you why I need a lot of points this game week. Because I decided in the end to use up my 2 free transfers on going for Digne and Calvert-Lewin instead of Davinson Sanchez and Harry Kane. So far, that's worked out absolutely beautifully. Can't complain at all about that. But the reason I used up my 2 transfers is because, I wanted to be really aggressive and get a good score this week so I can afford to take a -8 or potentially a -12 for game week 36. And although, a -12 on its own sounds pretty bad, but like I said before, I want to be really aggressive for the rest of the season. I can do a -12 to set me up for the rest of the season. There's a couple of blanks, there's a couple of fixture swings, and one -12 for the rest of the season is gonna sort me out. So let me show you what I'm thinking, and whether we actually go through with this -12, because I've never done a -12 before. So this is pretty big for me, but it's really exciting as well. Let me show you what I'm thinking. So, Iheanacho would come out. Rashford would come out, because both of those guys blank anyway. Castan would come out, because he blanks as well. Mendy would come out, because he blanks as well. So that's 4 players who blank gone. And just for the record here as well, when we look at Leicester's last couple of games, Chelsea and Tottenham, not great fixtures anyway. When we look at Chelsea's last 2 fixtures, Leicester, Aston Villa, not ideal, not amazing fixtures. Rashford, kind of a little bit better. in Fulham and Wolves. But, you know, these are not amazing fixtures or anything like that. So, this is what I would do. So, we would go in goal with Ederson. I'm usually against high-priced goalkeepers, but this is where we're at. I just feel like, when I look at these 3 fixtures, Newcastle, Brighton and Everton there, Everton playing pretty defensive football at the moment. Brighton, who, you know, can't really score goals, even if they're generating a load of XG and generating a load of chances. Newcastle, okay, Newcastle have been scoring a few goals recently, to be fair, but, you know, this is still City. City's defensive statistics are looking really good at the moment, even if they have conceded 1 or 2 goals. So, yeah, we'll put Ederson in there. Just for the final 3 games, I think he plays 3 out of 3. Well, I don't see why he wouldn't play 3 out of 3. I think he has potential to get clean sheets 3 out of 3. So, easily done. I think that's a much better option than going for Mendy there. And it would make up for the -4 taken on Mendy. So if we treat each of these guys on as a -4, I guess we can treat them each as a -3 really, because there's 4 of them. Because one of them's a free transfer. If we treat each of them as a -3, Ederson outscores Mendy by more than 3 points over the remainder of the season. So that's that one done. We'll go into defence now. This is a pretty straightforward one. Not very interesting, this one, I'm afraid. Straight to Stuart Dallas. We all know that Leeds have got some very nice fixtures for the remainder of the season. Burnley next, then Southampton, then West Brom. So that could be pretty nice there as well. Obviously, Stuart Dallas has the potential to get some attacking returns as well. Yeah, looks pretty good. Looks pretty good. I know Leeds don't have anything to play for, but other than the fact that Leeds are just, you know, they're such a prideful team. They just want to do well, don't they? And they're absolutely smashing it. So, yeah, I'm happy to keep going with Leeds. And don't worry, guys, because of the way I'm doing this, there'll be so much cover on the bench, I can afford for players to be rotated as well. I think that's in the last couple of games in the season, you kind of have to expect a little bit of rotation. Someone said in the chat, why isn't Alisson getting a shout? It's simply because I already have 3 Liverpool players. So, not too interested in that one. But, yeah, no, if you want to go for Alisson instead of Ederson, I would not blame you for that either. I'm going to do my striker next because the midfielder, I would say, is the most interesting out of the shouts I'm going to go for. And I'm pretty confident about this one too. But we'll go for a forward next, and we're going to go for Antonio here. This is shaping up really nicely already. So, West Ham, I feel like it's going to be the Antonio show rather than the Lingard show, if I'm completely honest. They've got Brighton next. Now, initially, I wasn't convinced I wanted to bring in Antonio against Brighton, but they've got sort of Morpay, he's got his red card. Lewis Dunk, he's got his red card. He can't play either. They've got Veltman, who is potentially still injured for this game. So they've got a few missing players, and I think they can be got at. You know, they have dropped off a little bit defensively over the last few games. Like, they're not the defensive beasts as they often are. But even if they are, you know, they do fall short of their statistics, as they always do, which we kind of have to accept. Mikhail Antonio on the other hand, looking really nice. He's straight back in there. West Ham, these are some super important games for them. They still have this chance of getting in top 4. Even if they can't get top 4, they're really going to want to make some European places here as well. So, yeah, definitely a huge thing to be going for West Ham players right now. There's so much to play for them, and Antonio's going to be playing all 3 games, and he's going to be the main man, as he always is when he is fit. Whenever he's fit, he's just a great shout to go for. And I missed early on in the season, I was a bit hesitant about going for Antonio because I thought, well, he's only just come back from injury, maybe give him a few games to get back into it, but he banged. He can do that. So we're going to go for him straight away. And then I'm going to finish you off, guys, with what I think might be the most important differential of my team. And to be fair, all of these guys, well, I mean, with the exception of Dallas, these guys are differentials. Ederson may not be a differential in terms of Man City's defence, but Man City's defence rotate, and they will rotate. Ederson won't rotate, so there's an advantage there. Mahrez, this is the big one. So, first of all, fixtures. Newcastle next, Brighton away again. Brighton's going to be missing Lewis Dunk for that fixture, assuming Mahrez plays in that game. I think out of these 3 fixtures, I'd say the Brighton game is the game he's least likely to play. And then Everton at home at the end, which, you know, we'll see what happens there. What Everton have to play with for and play with. But this is my thinking. And hopefully you'll follow me on this one. So, Mahrez has not played, he's not started a game since the Champions League semi-final. Man City are gonna want to have their players in kind of match fitness for the Champions League final. So even the best players they are going to play a certain amount of games between now and the end of the season. They're not just going to rest them all every single game up until the Champions League, because then what you have is players who haven't played in a month, 5 weeks, 6 weeks, and then they've got to go into the Champions League final against Chelsea. That's not going to be very good, is it? So Mahrez, he hasn't played in a little while. He's not played this game week. I don't even think he played last game week because of he was rested for the Champions League. So two Premier League games he's been rested for. He is going to come back. There's no way you leave Mahrez out of the team for that long. He needs to have occasional game time. And that's kind of been the situation all season. Mahrez is kind of one of the better players for Man City, I truly believe. The other thing, what I'm thinking so much about Mahrez is, okay, he won't play every game, but I have enough cover on the bench. But when he does play, look at his scores. Look at what he's doing when he does play. Okay, ignore Aston Villa and Leicester because whatever. But before that, 18 points against Southampton there, 12 points against Wolves there. You know, the 3 games before that haul, you know, he's getting a goal return every single game. He's just like, when he starts again here, West Brom game week 20, a goal, an assist, 12 points. When he plays, you know, hat-trick against Burnley. Goal here, 12 points, and an assist against Leicester. When he plays, more often than not, he is hauling. So as long as you can cover it from the bench, which I can, then he's good. He's pretty good. Also, when he is on the bench, and I did look this up as well, this thing doesn't really show it that well, but when Mahrez is on the bench, and a lot of these 0-pointers, he was actually on the bench and he's not come on. So he's not going to come on for a 1-pointer either in the majority of cases. Usually, he doesn't even come off the bench. Occasionally, you'll get the 1-pointer. I mean, that's just what happens sometimes. But if you look through this, 1 time he's come off the bench there, 2 times, 3 times. 3 times all season he's come off the bench. Which is not a lot, considering he will be on the bench most of the time if he's not playing. So that's also an advantage. So you can just, when your FPL bench options can just come on, slots in for him instead. It's going to be big. If Mahrez starts against Newcastle, by the way, still one of the worst defences in the league, even if they are scoring a couple of goals, Man City can win the league in this game. Mahrez is going to play. I really, truly believe that Mahrez is going to bang in this game. I'm even considering him as a captain, as a real differential. What I am doing here, going for Edison, going for Mahrez, going for Antonio, who I don't know what his ownership is. I'm okay, 5%. But a lot of those 5% of players who have Antonio are going to be inactive players who owned him previously in the season, you know. So these guys are differentials, and they're going to give me a real opportunity to get ahead of the curve a little bit. I feel like I am thinking a little bit ahead here with my transfers, and that's kind of what I want to do. And I think once you've hit the template, I've spoken about this before, and I have hit the template. My team is template enough where, you know, I pick up the standard amount of points every game week. You know, other than the disaster of the cancelled game, every single game week, I'm performing above average for the top 10k. Above average. That suggests I'm slightly ahead of the template. Other people might be trying to catch up with it a little bit. Now, let's take a -12. Let's get ahead, immediately ahead of the template. Other people are going to be a little bit hesitant to make too many transfers, take too many hits. And for the last 3 games, they will be slightly behind because they're thinking, oh, I'll just trickle feed these new players into their team rather than just going all in. Let's get rid of all the blankers, get rid of all the players whose fixtures swing, the Leicester players whose fixtures swing, get rid of them, gone. Let's replace them with some really nice players indeed. This is where I'm at. And I honestly think it's going to more than make up for the 12-point hit, potentially even by the first game. I think the 4 players that I'm bringing in are going to outscore the 4 players that I took out, mostly because they blank, by more than 12 points. So that's going to be very good immediately. And for the rest of the season, I think they'll be very good indeed as well. So, after that, I may as well continue my thought process. So this will be my Game Week 36 team. Then, after that, what I'm thinking, Vidra out, because remember, I've got a load of money in the bank still. We can afford to do something. Vidra out, then, and I'm sure a couple of you guys might have eyed up this guy already, but Callum Wilson. Newcastle scoring a lot of goals. Callum Wilson looking really good. I'm a massive fan of Callum Wilson. I'm not a fan of Newcastle, but now that Sam Maximan's kind of in the team, Almiron's in the team, Willock's in the team, there is a bit of creativity there. And if we look at these last 2 games, and this, in a sense, is Operation Target Sheffield United, because we've got Calvert-Lewin for Game Week 36 against Sheffield United, and Sheffield United, they really are worth targeting. Callum Wilson against Sheffield United at home. I know there's not much to play for Newcastle, but there's a lot to play for Callum Wilson. He's been out and had a frustrating season. He wants to come in. He wants to score goals. Newcastle still do have a lot to prove as well in terms of where people think they are at as a team. So Callum Wilson come in really nice for that. Fulham, what's that game going to be like? I'm not sure. I don't even know if I'll play Callum Wilson for that final game, but I can kind of afford by that point to just do throwaway transfers because I've already got myself ahead of the curve. And then for the final game week, we can pretty much just do a 1-week punt. So I've not exactly decided, but one idea I could do just for a 1-week punt, because remember, still 3.1 million in the bank, so we can do pretty much anything we like. So final 1-week punt is because Calvert-Lewin has a game against Man City. Well, depending on what the situation is, a farewell game for Aguero maybe? That's doable. 0.3 remain in the bank still, so it's more than doable. So we could do something like that, for example. Or, maybe I can take out Lingard or Greenwood or Jota or someone if I fancy switching one of them around. But maybe a farewell game for Aguero there. That could be pretty, I don't know, fun, I guess, but also interesting. So this is kind of what I want to do. I want to finish off the season. I'm not trying to hold position here. Because of the disaster that happened in Game Week 34, I'm kind of forced to play really aggressive now, which I don't mind because I do think it's fun. I really think it's fun. I mean, the minus 12 here, it sounds really scary, but I thought about it a lot. I've calculated how many points I think, and I've been really conservative with it, calculated how many points I think each player is going to get. And I really do think that it's more than worthwhile. So we're really aggressive. We're attacking these final games of the season. We're not going for these typical players. No, like let's go on the most transferred players in, and I can guess what kind of players are in. Oh, well, Dallas will be one of them, to be fair. That is a boring pick from me. I'm not going to lie. That's not differential. That's just kind of trying to cover that, because I do think it is important to cover that. But I know who's going to be transferred. It's going to be kind of Son. Who else have we got here? Oh, yeah, Son. There you go. Number 1 already. Son. People going for Lingard. Already Lingard and Salah. People are trying to catch up with the template. I'm already there. People going for Rafinha. I kind of understand that. But a few people going for Mahrez, which, to be fair, I didn't fully expect, but that is still a differential player at 5.5% ownership. And I checked the live ownership for players around my rank on Mahrez, and the ownership on Mahrez is something like 0.8% owned. So at my rank, he is going to be hugely differential. Forwards, yeah, Bamford, I really, really expected people to go for Bamford. Really expected people to go for Calvert-Lewin, but then I already have him. And then Bamford's kind of not that differential, 38.5% owned. No, it's okay. Kane is, 43% owned. Yeah, it's not bad again. I mean, the fixtures are okay for Harry Kane, but it's not amazing. But, Harry Kane can bang in any given game week. But for my money, Calvert-Lewin over the next 2 game weeks outscores Harry Kane anyway, which is exactly why I made that transfer last game week. And then we're going for Antonio, which is a little bit more differential. And Wilson after that. Okay, yeah, people are transferring them in, but they're still a little bit differential. People still transferring in Iheanacho, by the way. What's going on there? He's got, you won't be able to see it. Let me open up the screen for you. Oh no, that is definitely the wrong screen. Let me open up the screen for you. Yeah, sorry, you couldn't see any of that on the side, but I was trying to, I got too into it. Right, there you go. You can see on the side now. 13,000 people have brought in Iheanacho this game week. What? He doesn't even have a fixture. He doesn't even play. But there you go. You can see kind of some of the typical players on the side there that people are bringing in. And I'm just going to get all of them. Mendy, the second most transferred in goalkeeper ahead of game week 36. He doesn't have a fixture. People are crazy, aren't they, guys? People truly are crazy. But that's what my team will look like in game week 38, potentially. This will be what my team looks like in game week 37, very, very likely. And according to my current thoughts, this is what my game week 36 team will look like. And it will be starting Edison, Digne, Alexander-Arnold, Dallas, defenders, I guess. And then Salah, Lingard, Mahrez, and Jota in midfield. And then we're going up front with Vidra, who I'm unfortunately going to have to play, Calvert-Lewin, and Antonio. 3-4-3. Pretty standard stuff, but some real big hitters there. Salah against West Brom, Mahrez against Newcastle, Calvert-Lewin and Luca Digne against Sheffield United. You know, even Alexander-Arnold against West Brom. We've got Dallas against, oh God, I forgot who Leeds are playing first. It's Burnley. Dallas against Burnley. Antonio against Brighton. So there are going to be a lot of potentially big hitting players from the get-go, and we're really, really going in on these final 3 fixtures with a team that is just, in my opinion, really, really well suited for the final 3 games. Now, as long as no other games get cancelled, I feel like my trajectory is just gonna hopefully continue the way it was, because, you know, when you look at my trajectory over the last, I don't know, month, 6 weeks, it's been green arrows every single game week, other than that one horrible one, which I'm not going to keep complaining about, because these things happen. I got put in the past, and I'm making positive transfers to go ahead. I think we're going to be okay. I think, you know, I've said before, if I finish outside the top 100k, I will wear that Tottenham Hotspur shirt for the final stream of the season. I will do it. But I don't think I'm going to. I think I could even potentially sneak into the top 100k in this very game week. And then after that, we're gonna take a -12, which is going to drop us out a little bit. It's going to drop us out. That's fine. By the way, these transfers are far from confirmed. I will confirm it on Wednesday or maybe Thursday, depending on when I decide to make my team selection video. Because one thing one of my pet hates a little bit on YouTube is people making their team selection videos and, you know, reviewing their scores from last game week a little bit too early. And when we've got these double game weeks where there's still lots of fixtures to be played, I'd rather do it. I'd rather make that video a little bit later so you guys have a little bit of a better idea of what my scores were from game week 35. So I'll potentially do that video even on Thursday. And we'll do buy, sell, keep, avoid video, of course, on Tuesday. Wednesday, don't know. I'm not sure. I kind of, in many ways, on Wednesday, I'm thinking about making another differentials video, because the last differentials video I made had some of the players in there. You know, Chris Wood before he banged, Cavani before he banged. I can't remember what other players I put in there, but there was some really actually Greenwood I think I put in there as well. There were some really nice players who actually ended up doing really well. So I hopefully that video was useful in finding you guys some differentials that actually did genuinely pop off as well. So I'm thinking maybe make another one of those, because it is that time of the season where, yeah, we can make the buy, sell, keep, avoid videos and do the obvious buys. We'll do the obvious sells and things that are pretty obvious. But at the same time, some of you might not want the obvious transfer. Some of you want to get around your oppositions. Maybe your oppositions are, you know, you really want to catch them up. You're second in your mini league or something like that, third in your mini league. You just want to boost your rank a little bit. Differential is exactly what you need to do that at the tail end of the season. If you're transferring in players like Bamford and Kane and Son and players like that, unless you're happy with your rank already, you can only get so far with those ranks, with those players. You can't boost up your rank in any significant way unless you think outside the box a little bit, which is what I'm kind of trying to do with my team. And hopefully I can help you out a little bit there as well. So I'll pick out some differentials. I'll do like 8. I'll do 8 differentials, and then depending on what you're after like I'll make sure I do a wide range like I did last time. So whether you're looking for a cheap defender or a high price attacker or a medium price midfielder or a high price midfielder, I'll try and cover all bases. So there's something in there for everyone depending on what kind of player you're looking to bring into your team. So that should be pretty good. Hopefully that's going to help you out a little bit. But obviously, for some of you it won't. Some of you will be really happy with your rank, and absolutely fair play if you are. There's nothing wrong with you know, we all set our own targets, don't we? So yeah, hopefully we can help some of you out with there. But tomorrow we'll do the usual buy, sell, keep, avoid. To be fair, I was thinking about putting Mahrez in the buy, sell, keep, avoid video tomorrow, and actually doing a little bit of a deep dive on Mahrez. But I'm kind of maybe thinking save him for a differentials video, and actually in terms of buys put a couple of players who are maybe slightly safer, you know, maybe a little bit safer. We'll see. I got tonight to think about that, and obviously tomorrow. So there you go, guys. For those of you who are just joining, this is not these are not locked in transfers. I'm just tinkering around, guys. Feel free to rewatch the stream if you want to see my full thought process. Maybe you can apply a bit of that thought process to your own team. Maybe if you find yourself in a similar situation to me, where you've got a few blankers next game week, dirty blankers, we don't like them. You can switch it around a little bit. But there you go, guys. That is pretty much my update on what I'm thinking. Off the back of last game week, or off the back of the current game week, what I'm thinking in terms of strategy a little bit. I know we talk about some different stuff on different reaction streams. Maybe I shouldn't even call them reaction streams, or more like update streams, I guess, or strategy streams. That could be a pretty cool name. Strategy streams on Mondays. That might be, yeah. In fact, for next season, maybe we rename this to strategy streams, where we just talk a little bit about strategy and stuff like that. Could be interesting, but yeah, we'll think about that a little bit later. We don't need to talk about that now. But aside from that, guys, that's it for my team. So I'm gonna have a little look through some of the things you've been saying in the chat, and maybe there's a couple of the things that might be worth me talking about. And then after we're done, I'll go get my dinner, and I can sit down and see how far into the Fulham Burnley game I get before I decide to turn it off. I can't see myself watching that for very long. I'm not gonna lie, guys. If I had a couple of FPL players playing in that, maybe. But I'm going to put my my team back in front, and I'm going to have a look through the chat and see if there's any hot talking points you guys want to cover ahead of, midway through game week 36, I guess. What have we got in here? So, Lightning FN has said Salah, DCL, or Kane captain. All right, well, I mean, nothing wrong with going for some early captain thoughts. My 3 captainable players who I'm thinking about the most for captaincy this game week are indeed Salah, DCL. Kane, not so much. I do prefer Salah and DCL to Kane, if I'm completely honest. Calvert-Lewin's got the far better fixture. Salah he's got the higher point ceiling usually, hasn't he? And Salah's got this motivation. He really wants to win the Golden Boot, and he really wants Liverpool to get into the Champions League. That's this is huge for Salah. It really is. So although Kane, you can say, okay, yeah, he's probably going to want the Golden Boot as well. But things are kind of, I don't know. I feel like with Spurs, they're kind of drifting off a little bit. Maybe I don't have to have given up at all, but it seems like they just kind of want to start afresh, don't they? In many ways. And the other problem with Kane is, and this, I don't know if many of you guys agree with this about Kane, but when Kane is playing with Son, Bale, Dele Alli there as well, you've got all of the 4 goal-scoring players. The goals are going to be distributed out a little bit more. And if Spurs were scoring and I've kind of made the same point about Chelsea attackers before. It's why I've never gone for Chelsea attackers. When you've got loads of different players who all are equally capable of scoring goals in a team that is only kind of scoring 1 or 2 goals a game, Sheffield United games notwithstanding, then suddenly you're going to get less goals from each individual player, which is why I've not been tempted to go for Kane, to go back in for Son or anything like that, to get those players back in. Not too interested, if I'm honest, because I do think that I'm not going to say they're going to score low points. They're not. Son, Kane, Bale, they're all still going to get, I don't want to say a goal contribution per game, but certainly 2 out of 3 games maybe they'll get a goal contribution, which is still really good. I want a little bit more personally, especially when we're talking about captains. I want a Salah who's going to go to West Brom, desperate for the Golden Boot, desperate for Liverpool to get into the top 4, to go out there and, Salah, when he's not scoring, he is genuinely gutted. He's devastated. He wants to score goals so bad. When Mahrez scores, he doesn't even look happy. Salah wants to be the guy scoring goals. He's going to go out there and he could easily score a hat-trick in any given game. And a game against a very weak West Brom team, and West Brom now relegated, by the way, they're going to have very deflated egos there. Maybe they'll play with a little bit more freedom. That's just going to open up gaps. Maybe they're feeling really defeatist and giving up. Then they'll put a lesser shift in. Maybe there'll be rotation. Maybe they want to try out some of the youth players in preparation for next season. Who's actually going to be playing next season? Can we have a look at them? So there's going to be all these factors going on at West Brom to make them a weaker side as well. And for that reason, Salah is probably the standout captain of the game week in terms of, if we're just going obvious, if we're just going to go for the dead obvious captain, in the same way that Bruno Fernandes was the dead obvious captain for game week 36. 35, sorry. The same as Kane was the dead obvious captain for game week 34. Salah is the obvious captain for game week 36 here. So if you're in doubt, I say go straight for him. If you don't have Salah, if you really, for whatever reason, don't want to go for Salah, then obviously Calvert-Lewin is going to be an option. My only issue with Calvert-Lewin is, although obviously Everton are going to go out there and win that game, you'd be pretty confident about that, and they'll keep a clean sheet too, is that Everton have been quite a defensive outfit recently. They've been quite a defensive team. They're not really interested in going out there and blowing the opposition away. They're not too interested in that. They're quite content with scoring a goal, potentially 2 goals, and just defending for the rest of the game. They're quite happy to do that, and it's working for them, to be fair, because they've been doing really well recently. So I don't know, why would they change it in many ways? So although Calvert-Lewin, goal, you'd say he'd get a goal in this game, right? 2 goals, potentially, but it's not like oh my, he's definitely scoring a hat-trick, because typically speaking, Everton aren't scoring a lot of goals, and they're more than happy to just score a goal, maybe 2. Well, no, score a goal, sit back, and maybe get a second one later on in the game. So, for that reason, Calvert-Lewin, very good option to have in your team. In terms of captains, I don't know. Maybe Everton play this game a little bit differently, but I'm not expecting huge scores from Calvert-Lewin. Plus, less points for goals, no points for clean sheets. You're potentially looking at a few more points anyway. So there's that as well. So, yeah. Kane I wouldn't be considering for captain, but Salah, DCL, definitely on the cards. But Salah is kind of the obvious choice, I think. But there you go. Seema2 says, Salah wants the boot. Come on, obviously he's going to be standout with fixtures. I'm not getting rid of Kane until game week 37. No, I'm not saying get rid of Kane at all. But yeah, Salah, he's looking good, isn't he? Of course says, if I'm correct on Kane, that's great for England in the Euros. I mean, Kane's in the England Euros team anyway, isn't he? So he's not fighting for a place or anything like that. Unlike players like Greenwood, for example, who would be fighting for a place in the Euros, fighting for a place international. Calvert-Lewin fighting for a place in internationals as well. So these are other factors you've got to consider as we look at the last couple of games. Antonio, as Dan put it, plus Brighton are seriously depleted without more pay involvement. Dunk, yeah, it's not looking good. VR says Mahrez for captain. Yeah, he would be in my personal team, which I will be going in on game week 36 with. Mahrez is obviously going to be a captain shout for me. And if you do have Mahrez and you do fancy a differential, Mahrez is the kind of captain who really can change your season. He's a captain that can turn you could be at rank 100k. You captain Mahrez, you can find yourself sitting at 60k immediately off the back of just one player. It's the same kind of with a lot of Man City players. If you happen to captain them on a game week where they bang, and regularly Man City attackers will score 10, 15, up to 20 points. You captain them at the right point, and some of it's a little bit of luck, I suppose. But you've got to be in it to win it. If you're captaining these players, you're buying a lottery ticket with pretty good odds. You only need to get one number correct. So it's pretty good. It really can help you out going for a Man City captain. But at the same time, sometimes it doesn't work out. Sometimes they'll be benched. Sometimes they'll come off the bench. Sometimes things won't go the way you expect, as with any captain. But sometimes if you want to throw your hat in the ring, if I didn't have Salah and I was bringing in Mahrez, which I am bringing in Mahrez, by the way, I would potentially go for Mahrez as captain. In fact, I would probably go for Mahrez over Calvert-Lewin just because it's enough of a differential. It's aggressive enough to do it. Of course, says Dan, we were chatting about Kane not being 100% fit and rush back. Okay, yeah, fair enough. So that affects England. Every summer there's an injured player we are waiting on. Yeah, that's a good point, That's a good point. Rinzin Wangchuk says, keep or sell Lingard. I would keep Lingard. Maybe we'll talk about that tomorrow in tomorrow's video. But I think this is an interesting game week because there are so many blanks, there's so many fixture swings that actually, just by virtue of Lingard playing, in game week 36, that's enough as it is. But I'm not saying that Lingard's going to blank for the rest of the season. Maybe he's been a little bit disappointed. Maybe his XG has caught up to him a little bit. Maybe he's in not as good form. Maybe Antonio is going to be the main man. I'm kind of hoping that's going to be the case. Antonio is definitely a player I'm interested in. So there you go. Seamar says, Dan, I love the... We're talking a lot about Seamar. He's got a lot of good stuff to say. I love the optimism on Mahrez as a differential. How about Foden? I don't trust the Pep Roulette. How about Stones as a punt? If you don't trust the Pep Roulette, then going for Foden, going for Stones does not improve that situation. Foden obviously has been playing very, very well. I just don't think he has the explosiveness that Mahrez has. You know, Mahrez on set pieces as well, which is really nice, which he's been pretty good at as well. I feel like Foden is far riskier. I do also think that Foden is going to get some game time, obviously. But Mahrez has got no game time in the last 2 game weeks in the Premier League. He's definitely getting... He might even get 90 minutes. He's definitely getting 85 minutes, I would say, in this game against Newcastle. Foden, on the other hand, maybe, you know, even if he does start, we're talking about 55, 60 minutes, 65 minutes maybe. I don't know. I'm not so keen on Foden. I love him as a player, but for FPL, I just think that he's so rotation risky, you know, and when he's on the bench, he usually will come off the bench for 1-pointers. When he's actually playing, he often gets hooked at like 55 minutes or 60 minutes or 65 minutes or something like that. So there's a lot of downsides in terms of FPL. I really hope that next season he can nail down a spot, because he is going to be an insane FPL asset, right? But for now, I'm not gonna stick my neck out there and recommend Foden. It could work out. I'm not gonna say it won't work out. It absolutely could. But Mahrez is the player I'm looking at. So there you go. Ansel saying Greenwood, Rashford, or Cavani. Well, I mean, I wouldn't be bringing any of them in, considering none of them have a fixture in game week 36. Guys, have a look, because obviously some people have made this mistake already. Then we may as well have a look. There are teams that don't play. It doesn't show the teams that don't play, but when Manchester United don't play, Leicester don't play, Arsenal don't play, Chelsea don't play. They're the main ones. I think, in fact, that might even be it. Yeah, that is it. So yeah, those teams. Don't buy players from those teams. Like, just don't. Some people saying Foden will play. Yeah, okay, fair enough. Go for him. I'm not. I would not be doing that personally. I would not be. I'm not comfortable recommending Foden personally. It could work out though. If you feel confident about that one, go for it. Absolutely. I'm never going to say don't trust your gut. You know, fully all about trusting your gut. Of course, there's all the teams were roulette in the last few weeks. Absolutely, yeah. Yeah, get your bench in order. Of course, as said, always happens. Suddenly, Edison will get benched on the final day. I don't think Edison is going to... And the reason why I think it's slightly different with Man City. If Man City didn't have the Champions League final, there's every chance that Mahrez wouldn't play a single game for the rest of the season. There's every chance that Edison wouldn't play a game for the rest of the season. They just start Stefan for the last 3 games. But when they've got this Champions League final, they don't want players to lack match fitness. They want these players to be ready to go, still thinking about professional football, competitive football, non-stop. You don't drop a goalkeeper, really. Typically speaking, dropping a goalkeeper, even for one match, can knock their confidence a little bit. Typically, goalkeepers don't get injured anyway. Typically, goalkeepers, they're not going to get suspended. They're not going to, they're not going to run out of fitness. You don't knacker yourself in goal too much, I don't think. Well, I mean, certainly I'd probably be knackered played in goal, but for a professional, maybe not so much. So, yeah, they can just carry on. Yeah, I don't think I'd be going for any other Man City defensive player, to be honest, because they will rotate a fair bit. Whereas Edison, you would say, plays 3 out of 3. Maybe he doesn't play one of them. Maybe he gets dropped for the final game of the season. But I do still have Forster. Forster, of course, due to play game week 38. Forster's not going to play 36, not going to play 37, but he'll be back in for 38, which is pretty nice. So there you go. Yeah, that's pretty much it. Jaden says thoughts on Meslier. Yeah, he's the other goalkeeper I would kind of considered for my team, for Meslier. So there you go. But guys, yeah, as mentioned, there is going to be rotation for most teams to a degree. So it would be sensible to make sure you have a strong bench. Now, for Game Week 36, you're not really going to be able to have a strong bench because of all of the players who are blanking, particularly if you've got Manchester United players. But just bench them. Bench them for one game week only. And, yeah, you should have a strong bench. If you're keeping 2 Manchester United players, as I am, then you'll have a strong bench for the final few games of the season, which should be pretty nice for you, really. You can choose when to rotate if you want to rotate a little bit. You've got options if a disaster happens. It's not bad. It's not bad. Nikhil Potnis says, how many points did you get? I'm 71 so far, so pretty good start. I'll badly say, yo, Dan, -8 for next week. Yeah, I'm not going to answer specific questions in this video because I want this to be interesting for everyone kind of thing for the rest of the week. But yeah, in terms of -8, I'm taking a -12. On current strategy, I'm taking a -12, and you can learn all about that at the beginning of the stream if you're just catching now. But I don't think there's anything wrong if you've calculated it in your head. You know, if you've got players who are blanking, kind of thing, take a -4, take a -8 if you really think it's going to improve your team long term. Don't do silly, pointless, sideways transfers. If you're taking hits, make sure it drastically improves your team for many of the right reasons. You know, bringing in players you're likely to captain, bringing in players who don't have any blanks, bringing in fixtures who have amazing fixtures, getting rid of players who blank, getting rid of players who have terrible fixtures, getting rid of players who you know you're not going to captain for the rest of the season. Make it worth it. Make sure there's multiple factors on both ends. Make sure you hate the player that you're taking out, and make sure you love the player you're bringing in. As long as that's the case, and this is for long term as well. Well, I say long term. We only got to think about 3 game weeks at the end of the day. As long as you can work it out for 3 game weeks, you really, really, really want this player competitive. You really, really don't want this player. Okay, take those -4s, take those -8s. Potentially, if you're anything like me, go for a -12. As long as it's sensible. Some of them are going to be sensible, some of them aren't. But it's going to be individual for your team. You know, everyone's slightly different, you know. But there you go, guys. We've been streaming for about 45 minutes. I think we leave it there. I do want this video to still be watchable for those who are not watching live. Shout out to those guys who are watching the replay of this stream. Thanks for watching, guys. Thanks for treating this as an actual video, even though it's a slightly long one. I hope you did enjoy this regardless. Thank you very much. Please do like the video if you're not watching live. Please do like the stream if you're watching live. It really, really does help the channel out. I know kind of at the end of the season, FPL kind of fades off a little bit. People aren't so interested. This is kind of it becomes a little bit more niche. And the channels, all FPL channels, all FPL apps and, you know, Twitter accounts, whatever, everyone drops a little bit in interaction. So the likes that you do give on the channel really, really does help. All the support, you know, it really, really does help. So I really appreciate that. Of course, subscribe if you're new around here. Follow me on Twitter. Still not got 10,000 followers on Twitter. I'm wondering if I'm ever going to be able to hit 10,000 Twitter followers, to be honest. But yeah, if you fancy it, go for it. But aside from that, guys, thank you so much for watching. I hope you smash the rest of your game week, because we're still in the game week. Hope you do really well for the rest of them. Hope all our Manchester United players play every single game possible, even though that's never going to happen. And aside from that, I'll see you on Buy, Sell, Keep, Avoid video tomorrow. And I will see you later, mates. Bye-bye.